If we weaken men, then if they become weak enough, they'll no longer be a threat. And I argue that point absolutely. I think the most dangerous men on earth are the weak men. And if you
Okay, hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. So today I'm going to read an email that we got, and we're going to discuss this email. Okay, she says, "Hello Karen Danielle, I love your content. I love your content. Wish you had better audio, but the convos are on point, so I look past it, laugh out loud." You know what? What's her name? Melinda? Mm-hmm. We know. Yeah. We know. We're working on it. I know we keep saying that, but we really are. It's just it's a situation.
Times are tough.
Times are tough, guys. So, but thanks for still listening to us, even though we don't have the best audio yet.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, but anyways, let's get into it. She said, "On to the question. You all did a video about men and emotions. It was episode 316. I remember this one. I don't. I will put that episode above me if you guys haven't seen it. Episode 316. Respectfully, I disagree with you a bit because I think men should show their emotions and not be afraid to display it. Don't you think? Don't you think it's better to let it out instead of bottling it all up? Keep up the good work, Melinda."
So I just want to say, I don't think that men don't show emotions. I think they show them differently.
Yeah.
And I think I just want to say that before we start.
Yeah.
I don't think that men don't show emotions. They just don't show them the same way
Correct.
we do. And I think women miss that.
Right.
We miss it because we're looking for their emotions to match ours.
Yes.
And so because their emotions don't match ours, we think they're not having them.
Correct.
But they do different things because they are wired different. So when you tell a man to show his feelings, they automatically seize up.
And then it's
because they're like, "What do you mean? You think we're gonna sit here and talk and cry?" That's just not how they feel comfortable and do it. And I'm all about I don't like when people don't naturally do something. Yes. I don't want you to be forcefully doing something, and that's not how you do it. And I think that when it comes to emotions, I don't think I do, but I'm just saying I don't think a lot of women understand that it isn't that they're not showing emotions. It's just that they're emotional. The way they deal with their emotions is much differently than the way we do it, and because they didn't look like ours, we miss it. We think they're just not having it. Right.
So when men are, okay. So Melinda, you're in luck because we have a large male audience, and most of the men that I think subscribe to us kind of are what you call leadership type men. I mean, I would say that I get the sense that a lot of you guys are like that. So maybe you guys can help this situation, but we're just going to go by what we kind of know. You know. But when men are put their emotions like on their sleeve and show their emotions on their sleeve, sometimes all the times it gets it can get out of hand and they become overly emotional, and then their decision making skills, and critical thinking, kind of takes a back seat because they're too much into their emotions. That's where we are. It's not where they're supposed to be. So I see. Here's the thing, though. When people say this, especially when women say this, I know that what you're thinking is that it's cruel. It's somehow cruel that there's women out here that are saying men shouldn't show their emotions, and they're human beings. And I get the idea of that, but I think the problem is that so many women don't understand that men are wired so differently than us that it's almost if you don't understand that part, then you're not gonna be able to take in that they won't do well in that way. Now, when you said this, so we get clips sent to us all the time. Someone sent us a clip with Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate, right? They weren't together. It was like a double clip, right? And I'm going to play this clip because it just happens to be similar to what you're talking about, if not kind of exactly. So I'm going to put this clip up so you guys can see what they say about, they're talking about weak men that have weak minds and stuff like that, and why that happened. And so I want to see what you guys think about this, and hopefully Melinda kind of makes a little more sense to you. So
I just want to say that that men also say this about women. Like they'll say, "I wish you guys weren't so emotional." But what happens when women do that? You become Ebony.
Yeah.
That girl we
Ebony
did the video.
Williams. Yeah.
And this is why it's not. That's why when we say that women are emotional, there's nothing wrong with emotion for us.
Yeah.
To show it like that, because that's natural for us. We're built like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when women don't do it. Then you get a woman like that, that men don't like.
It becomes a
because
problem.
then she doesn't show any at all.
Right.
So we're just different. I think that's what I mean.
Right. Okay, so I'm gonna put this clip up and then we'll just check this out here.
If we weaken men, then if they become weak enough, they'll no longer be a threat. And I argue that point absolutely. I think the most dangerous men on earth are the weak men. And if you look at men who have no emotional control, because that's what they're trying to teach us to have. They're saying, listen, you're a man, you're allowed to just cry all the time and have no emotional control, no stoicism, just react to your emotions. You know what happens when you tell men to just react to their emotions? Anger. You have school shootings.
Weak is not good. The people who shoot up the high schools, they're weak.
You have rape, you have violence. That's what happens when you tell men to have no emotional control.
And life is a very difficult process. You're not prepared for it unless you have the capacity to be dangerous. Those who have swords and know how to use them but keep them sheathed will inherit the world. You have to be powerful and formidable and then peaceful, in that order. And that's not the same as being naive and weak and harmless, which is what young men are being encouraged to be.
So there you go, Melinda. So Melinda, I wanted you to see that because I think that it will help you kind of understand coming from men, because you know we're women, whatever, and we get it. We believe what they're saying because it's like factually true. Anytime that I've encountered a man who is unhinged, it's because he's overly emotional. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Or a man who's if I hear about a man who is abusive, it's because he's overly emotional.
The kids that shoot up neighborhoods, those overly emotional. They were single mom, matriarchy, young men who've only been raised with their mother. A lot of that jails are filled with men raised by single mothers and feelings. Mm-hmm. Because you know what happens is that a lot of those men are in jail because they let their feelings. A lot of men mean to kill somebody. Yeah, they let their feelings get ahead of them, and they found themselves in jail. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, what they're saying is, and then another thing is that what Jordan and what Andrew are saying is, and I always tell women, you really need to listen to balanced men. Yes. Like really, don't listen to, I know what that women don't like. These men are just angry. Some of them are. You're right. You know what I mean? But but I'm talking about balanced. Matt Walsh, Andrew, Brandon Tatum, Elliot Holtz, his father. I just watched his video. You know what I mean? When you listen to men who are balanced,
it changes everything.
They say this because I don't think sometimes women understand that men are built to be a different thing than we are for the world. Mm-hmm. So they have to be a certain something to be relevant in order to be effective and to be needed. Yeah. Because men like to be needed. Right. You know what I mean? And to be effective and needed, they have to have a certain mind frame and control that we're allowed to just have. Mm-hmm. But the reason why we're allowed to have it is because we don't really have that burden. Yeah. That is not something that's put on our shoulders to really lead families. We're not really supposed to do that. Even though a lot of women will probably come and say, there's a lot of single mothers. Right. That's not, single motherhood is not the goal. Yeah. It's not right. You're not supposed to be a single mother. Yeah. So you're not supposed to head a family. Right. You're really not. You know what I mean? Some women, if their husband dies or something, they have no choice. Mm-hmm. But they're not really supposed to. Men are built to protect, to lead. They're the armor. Mm-hmm. So with that kind of responsibility and that kind of knowledge and knowing that, they have to have a certain mental state that we don't really need to have.
I do think that men. So I do think that a lot of times women don't understand some of the burdens that men actually have, which we've highlighted on this show, because that's stuff like there's a disconnect with men and women. I think a lot of it is because we're not understanding each other's burdens, And when I say burden, it's not necessarily even a bad thing. It's just what is it's what is to be expected of you as a man or as a woman, whatever it is. So men have they have a load on them that we'll never understand, and we're not supposed to understand really, but we're supposed to respect it. And I think that to be able to walk around with that kind of load, the things that they have to get done, and just in the name of being a man, like they can't be around here, guys. They cannot be around here crying, you know what I mean? Having, I don't know, like kumbaya moments every week, whatever it is. That's just now they won't be able to get things done if they're like that. And I say that because I know men who are like that, and they get nothing done in their life. Mm-hmm. They're the shell of themselves. They don't even know how to function correctly because they're thinking like a woman. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so that it's not, like Kara was saying, it's not natural. And I really, I really want, what I want is for women to understand that men and women are simply not the same. Mm-hmm. We are not equal. Like when I encounter a man who talks too much, I know there's something wrong with him.
Because men don't talk.
They don't talk like that.
run their mouth a lot.
In my experience,
they just don't. And when you see a man that just talks all the time and can't stop talking, that is a guy who's been around too many women.
Yep.
Or raised by only a woman. And so you can always tell, you know what I mean? And I just kind of feel like, to me, the most attractive men are the men who can hold a gun and know how to use a gun and know how to, lead a home, build something.
Yeah.
Those types of guys, those guys who know how to take care of the hard things that I just don't mentally want to take care of.
Yeah.
And by the way, when men are like that, they are the most attractive to women because masculinity always attracts femininity. When men act like us, we see them as an equal and a friend, but we don't see them as a protector and provider. And unfortunately for that is what we truly want. Is someone who will go downstairs when they hear somebody. Or deal with the emotional burden of something. And men know that. They know that you don't really want that. You're just saying that. You don't. Your husband's not supposed to be your girlfriend. They don't want to hang out with you. Have friends for that. You know what I mean? They don't want to do that all day. That's just not who they are. You know what I mean? Now, if you're talking about communication, I think that's another thing
that was
people get
separate.
is that should a man communicate with you? Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But he's not your girlfriend. You're not supposed to sit around and cry with each other all day. You will lose respect for him. Mark my word. You will. And it's not because men don't have the right to cry. Men do. There are times when men will say it's warranted to cry.
Right.
But they know that what their role is, particularly when they get married. They are the head of the house. They are the infrastructure. They are the foundation. The foundation has to be strong.
And I think that's what we said in the video she's referring to.
Right.
Again, I'll put that up.
Yeah, the foundation has to be strong. If the foundation's not strong, then it sinks. It's on sand. That's, you know what I mean? You build it on sand. It just falls apart. So somebody has to be that person. And men are they're just genetically built for that we're not. That's why we don't understand it.
Yeah, and it's right. But yeah, when I think about like men and strength, it doesn't register as someone who's gonna sit here and have a powwow with me all. He's not gonna go and gossip with me. And
I have my sister for that.
Yeah, like
so. You know what I mean?
I don't have I
have this here. Like I have my sister for that. I don't need my husband for that. But I do want to have of course we have we have a different connection. We have a love relationship, a friendship, a partnership. That is what we have, but we have totally different roles. And we have totally different personalities for the roles to work, to maintain it to work. Everything else, he has his friends and I have mine.
I also feel like I get uncomfortable if I'm with a guy and he is like overly emotional. I get uncomfortable because I feel like I feel like he's not gonna be able to protect. I don't feel like safe because men are supposed to be the rock. So when they're not, it does give you a feeling of I don't feel like safe around. Like I don't feel like I'm gonna be protected. And that's just the feminine part of me. That's why I feel that way. I wouldn't, that's just a natural feeling that most people get. So, for instance, like Melinda, if you're with a guy and he's this emotional man that you're talking about, he should cry whenever he wants to cry and blah blah blah. I guarantee that, and I don't know sure if you're with anybody, but I guarantee that if you're with a man like that, you're not fully going to be able to be the woman you are. Yeah. Because whenever you get met with a feminine energy like that from a man, you have to suppress yours, and then it all has to taper off somewhere. So you're going to have to compensate for his masculinity, his lack of masculinity, and then you now have to. You guys can't both be sitting there crying together. But it's like Andrew Tate was just saying, like Jordan, they both were saying this, but Jordan Peterson said, men today are being encouraged to be that, and he's absolutely right. This is why I think about all this the feminization of men right now, this trend of transgender and all this stuff. I think that he's right. Like the people are being encouraged to be more feminine, and so now we have a generation of men who are emotional. And cry a lot.
They go on their camera phones and they cry about their day. It's just disturbing. It's disturbing, right? And here you got two different types of men because Andrew Tate is younger than him, but not only that, Andrew Tate is more of a physical guy, and Jordan's more of an intellectual guy.
Both strong,
but yet they both think
their energy is
that's just being a man. There are some things like Jordan said to that lady: women are the same. They're the same. they're different in some ways, but alike in others.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same for men. They're different in a lot of ways. Their interests are sometimes different, but alike in a whole lot of other ways. And so they think the same because they understand they have that commonality. And so if you meet a man that is Donald Trump, but then you meet a man that works at an oil rig, they, even though they're doing different jobs, they have different setups, different lives, their mindset is still protect, provide. And that's just what they do. That is a burden most women, if they get married and won't have to really deal with. We need feelings because we're supposed to nurture and we're supposed to have children and need nurturing. And feelings have a place. So when I do say things like women are over feelings and this is the reason why they shouldn't be president, I mean that. Yeah. It's because you can't, feelings does not belong in that space. That's male space.
There's actually a video of Trump and Biden. And there's one, and people thought Trump was kind of like a bully. They felt like he's a bully. But there's a video of him, if I can find it, I'll put it up, you guys. But where he kind of pushes himself in front of some people.
Yeah, it's like he pushes himself through the crowd or something.
Yeah, like, and he was, I think they were also politicians from other countries or something. I'll find it. But he pushed himself in front of the person and made himself, and he kind of fixed himself. Yeah. Like, you know, that's a dominant, that's him pounding his chest. That's kind of dominant. That's like dominant behavior. And so for a leader of a country, it's exactly what you want. You want nothing less than that. And then there's a video, they compared it with Joe Biden not knowing where to go, having to be directed off of a stage. You know, now, so those are two totally different type of men. And so when people think about, oh, well, who do you want running the country? What kind of man would you want to be leader? Which one of these two men would you want to be your husband? So this is beyond politics. I'm talking about just their energies alone. Forget about the politics. I'm talking about just the energy alone. I would 1000% feel so much more comfortable with Donald because he is showing no matter what's about to happen here, I'm the man. I'm pounding my chest here, and nothing's going to happen to you, not on my watch. But what we see with Biden in that same instance is that he looks lost, confused. Is he going to be able to guide me? So when I see that type of thing, I always go with the man who's able to bring out his emotions when necessary. You know, and so you can't be. I don't know. I guess I understand why a lot of women kind of disagree when we say stuff like this.
Well, I mean, during this time, if this were 1950, no woman would disagree. Almost every woman would agree with us because women were in their feminine energy because they were mostly housewives. Yeah, now once you're a housewife, you have to now, be in that you're in your feminine energy. You know what I mean? Because that is what you're supposed to do. The instant you come out of the home and you have to go to work and clock in and do all those things, now you're becoming masculine and you have to deal with the world. Yeah. And men usually deal with the world, but now since you're a woman and you're dealing with the world, you're coming into your masculinity. And women just don't do well. Right. We don't. I'm not saying there are no women that succeed. What I'm saying is even when you do succeed, you miss out on something. Yeah. Because there's some part of you that that's why I say there's some things that even if you can do it, you shouldn't. Should you? Yeah. You can propose to a man, but should you? Should you? You can do a lot of things, but should you? That's sick. You know what I mean? And that's where we are today. People think just because you can do it, you should do it. No. Sometimes you make things worse when you don't just let things happen. I agree. You know what I mean? You gotta let a man be a man. And if he doesn't really want to come with his feelings right now, it's because he's processing something and you need to let him alone for a little while. Yeah. And then come back later. I hate that I always bring up Jason Whitlock when I do love a show. I watch it all the time. Well, because he makes sense. But he does. But he is a pastor named Anthony Walker who was on there. And one time he had Anthony Walker and Delano Squires. He's a writer on the show as well. And they were talking about housewives and stuff. And both of them, when they got married to their wives, they both were working. And I think Delano or one of them said, well, I always thought it was okay because Delano's wife has a degree. You know what I mean? He was just like, I always thought it was fine because... He said, because do your wives don't work? He's like, no, not anymore. But when we first started, he said, why? I said, because when I first got married, I thought, why not both of us work? He's like, right, because, first of all, money-wise, we had more money and stuff like that. He said, but then my wife didn't, I told her, to stay home. We started having kids. Right. And he said, and I realized that I like this much better, even though we have less money. It makes sense. And that's what I'm saying. Money's not everything. It's not. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. You know what I mean? And so what he's saying is the quality of our lives better. Not the quality financially. Yeah. But the quality between the two of us. Right. Is much better because now she's doing home home stuff. I think their kids get homeschooled as well. But he's just like, he's doing home stuff. And then he said, I go to work and I make the money. But then when we come home, we had 2 different days and we're balanced. He's like, differently than when we both worked. We had the same experience, the same annoyance, and it was just better that way. And I think sometimes people don't understand that it is better when we just are ourselves.
Well, yeah, the key word here in between men and women, I feel like it's a balance.
When you ask a modern woman, if you were to ask her this, okay, what do you get? What are you really getting out of being successful?
Yeah, what is it?
And then they'll go, I don't know, fulfillment, doing this. Okay, right. So you want a man though, right? And so you can't get a man because your mindset is business, and men want women and not business women.
Yes.
Right? And they would say, well, right. So is it worth it?
Yeah.
Is my point. Was it worth it? Is it worth not ever being with a good man to have this business or to have this whatever? It must not be, because you're not letting it go.
Right. Right. No, 100.
But if you were in love, could you let go of the work? What could you let go of first?
Yeah.
Because it should be the work.
The work.
But if you're successful, you have to ask yourself that, would I be okay if I never ever have a husband?
Yeah.
Or would I be okay if I never had a career but a husband?
Why would you want to choose that?
And I'm going to say everybody would rather have a husband than a career. The great majority of women would rather dump the career and be with, which is why Linda Evans said that to Barbara Walters. She was just like, I would let go of this TV show in a minute.
Right.
Because she's living in her femininity. She knows that.
Right.
Most women would rather be married, but the truth is that jobs to me make women not trust men, because they think that money is everything. Like I gotta have all my security and all my money, and I can't I can't put it in this man's hands. You know what I mean? Because what if he doesn't get it done, and then I don't have to get to buy things that I want to buy and everything. So I'd rather get Gucci shoes than have a husband.
Like, what's more important?
What's more important to you, substance-wise? So I think people don't ask those questions before they jump into just having like careers, or telling people, or even in this situation, like being emotional. Do you really want that? So your husband comes home, he starts crying, and he starts giving you his feelings in a real feminine type way on the daily. Do you really think that you can get sexually aroused anymore? Right.
And I think you told me you're single. Actually, I remember now. I'm trying to remember the little conversation, but I think you said you were single. So say you meet a guy. I think you think that sounds in your head, that sounds right, to have this guy you can have chats with every night, and in emotional chats, and be girly, and what's the word, like gossipy, and talk about your entire day. Guys like to move in silence mostly. You know what I mean? I think you think in your head that sounds right. But I'm willing to bet that if you find a guy and you got that guy that's chatty and talk, right? And gossipy, I think that you would be unhappy.
You would.
You'd be very unhappy because he's just meeting your level, and I feel like that's not what you want. That's definitely not what I want.
Because we like men because they like their manhood.
Yeah, that's the.
You know what I mean? It's the manhood that we're looking for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We'll date men that don't have a lot of money. We'll date men that do, but if you don't have your manhood's not intact,
then it's like
then women can't understand that mentally. So sometimes you think you want something you don't really want.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It seems like you're having a bad day. I just want this guy just to tell me how he feels all the time.
No.
You know what I mean? And it's like, no, you think you do, but you really don't.
Could you imagine coming home to that?
You'll be turned off all the way immediately.
Oh my God.
As soon as this guy starts to mirror your feelings.
I know, right?
You won't like it. I'm just saying.
It'll be so uncomfortable, and I really wouldn't want that. For
and then the
anyone.
longer he does it, because the longer someone's in their feelings, they become unhinged.
Yeah,
and then they become something else: angry, frustrated.
Now these these domineering women out here, sometimes they actually look for men who are like that, who are like overly emotional, so they can control them, right? And then that control turns into verbal abuse. Like women can get really abusive if they around a man who's beta like that. because she could run all over them. That's kind of the purpose.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You know,
Men, eventually, though, men, when they act like that, they become manipulative.
Yeah.
I mean, they become us
Yeah.
when we become mean.
Right.
Because when women get mean, that's what we become.
Right.
We become manipulative, and you know what I mean? But when men do it, they also, if they don't stop, they also start to become mean.
Yeah.
And hit off their hinge. You know what I mean? Just crazy. You know what I mean? And they become us. And then we don't like that. You know what I mean? Because we balance each other out. That's the difference. That's the reason why we're not the same.
I won't be able to properly trust a man if I can't completely like lean and rely on him. You know what I mean? And so the foundation becomes shaky, really shaky, when he gets to be like a crybaby. Sorry, I'm gonna have to use that term, but when he becomes like a crybaby, it starts to get a little uncomfortable. You know, it would be very uncomfortable. So I know I probably said something along those lines, and I still stay true to that. You know, and I think that women just have to. I think women just have to really start understanding men. Like I think that's the biggest problem.
Or just honoring their spirit.
Their spirit,
like
yeah.
what they are. Matt Walsh put on Twitter, and also in his show he talked about it, but he put on Twitter that men should never show their feelings, and the women on Twitter went berserk on him. He read some on his YouTube show about, he said, men, there is no, he said there is like 5 reasons why men should cry in front of people. He was just like, we are not supposed to do that. That is not a thing that we're supposed to do. And I don't care if all these women come at me about this. You have no idea what it means to be a man.
Because he was watching He was watching that ESPN. Yeah. There was a video of ESPN panel. Yeah. I don't know what, I can't remember what they were talking about, but the guy, it was about race. Race or something. The black player, the black, I guess, I don't know. He was a correspondent. He started crying. And 2 of the other anchor guys on ESPN started crying too because of this whole thing. And then the girl, you know, panelist, of course, she's already in tears. And then Matt's like, what the hell is this?
First of all, this is a sports show. When did we become this? I mean, you know, like I said, Van Jones, when Donald Trump won, Van Jones cried.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Like, this is a grown man. He's on he's on CNN crying, and then his other co-anchors are sitting here and look at him
like, okay,
like they're stoic, like they have to look, and he's just like tears. And I thought to myself, this is not a good look.
Like tears, like actual tears were coming out on national TV. A grown man. And it's like, it's unfortunate to see that though, because I am, you know, like a really big advocate for men, like men, masculine men. I'm a really big advocate for masculinity in men. Like I don't find it, like I know that they get a bad rap too, of everyone thinks when men are masculine, it's toxic masculinity, all this BS that's going around. It really isn't. It's just them being who they are. And I think they're being demonized for just being that. And then we have women, no offense, Melinda, they're encouraging, don't do that, Melinda, but they're encouraging men to be these big crybabies. And it's like, no, don't encourage it. We have enough of that right now. We have enough of the feminization of men right now. The encouragement of that.
And because a lot of women are acting like women, they want men to not act like men.
I know.
They don't want to be alone in the process. They want this to be some weird unisex, we're the same. And I'm just like, no. Yeah. You first of all, you have to change. Right. Because you're not being a woman. Not Melinda. Yeah. I don't know her. But I'm just saying, like, in general, most women need to take some more etiquette classes. Yeah. And remember it used to be charm school. Yeah. We need to bring that back. If I could get some money and do that, I would have a charm school. You know what I mean? But we need to get back to ladies being ladies. Because if you get in your feminine energy like that and you practice it, being a lady, then you can spot men that are good. Yeah. But also you will summon the masculinity in men. They'll come to you. Right. Because the thing is like that masculinity looks for femininity. Yeah. It doesn't look for masculinity.
So just balance it. Don't encourage this, please. I just think that I don't think it should be that way. I think we were designed the right way. I think we're trying to alter the original design of who we are as men and women. I think we need to stop trying to alter God's way. Yeah, I do. I think we have to stop doing that because it was, again, perfectly fine up until about 5 minutes ago. Everybody done changed how we're supposed to be as men and women. It's like, why are we changing that? That was never messed up. It always worked. It was
for
fine.
years.
It was fine.
Before, like I mentioned the 50s and 60s, but before that, every
It was
decade,
forever.
2,000 years, men have been the
Hunters.
foundation,
Yeah.
and women have been the helpmates. That's just what it is. I mean, that's what we were designed to be. And I just feel like because we think we can evolve. Because humans think that we think we're so smart. Like we think we know more than like God. You know what I mean? And so God made a design. And we think because we got technology and we can do all these things, and we can now be God. No. You know, like we're like above God because we made computers.
Stop trying to
and
alter
stuff like that. We're the same now because women can do this, and we got computers and everything. We can push up a button. I can have food here, and we don't need to do those things. Well, again, just because you can push a button and get food doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Or should you cook it?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we think we're smarter just because we have more technology. And so with that being said, we think that now we can change DNA.
Yeah.
And genetics. Just ignore yourself, your feelings.
Right.
That's just a social construct.
It's like, no.
No, it's not.
No, it's
it
not.
really isn't. That's why a lot of these business women are all alone and unhappy because that's not they're out of their place. And now they don't know how to get back in their place because they've started this whole thing. And so now women want men to be just like them. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, it's good to practice your femininity because then you'll understand men a little better.
Yeah, I agree. Let us know what you think. Leave some comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And we will see you guys on the next video. Bye.